My name is Evan Shute. I'm the COO and a partner here at 72 and Sunny. We are so excited to welcome all of you here and this event tonight. We've been partnering with the Geena Davis Institute on gender and media for a few years, specifically on gender and media in advertising and how that comes to play and how we can make sure that we're reflecting the world we want to be and that we want our daughters and all daughters in the world to see and be. And we value every bit of knowledge that they bring us in this partnership, so we're stoked to have them tonight and have amazing panelists. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Madeline, who's going to give you more context.
So we're so privileged to be in the house of 72 and Sunny, and they put their money where their mouth is. They have financially supported the Institute at one of our highest levels. They have hosted almost 4 events for us in New York and LA. They are one of the most progressive advertising agencies in the world, and we just love them so much. Before we get going, without further ado, I'm going to bring up Geena Davis. No need to introduce her to you. She's going to say a few words, and then I'll bring the panel up. Thank you.
Come on. We've been here before. Come on. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so thrilled to be back again and see all of you, our wonderful partners, 72 and Sunny, our favorite hosts. We're so happy to be with you. How many are here for like the first time for one of our events? Awesome, that's fabulous. Welcome, welcome. I'm sure we'll see you a lot more. And there's a dog. So it's all good. There's lots of progress that can be made in our industry, but it's encouraging to see some things changing and getting better. In fact, we did our what we call the CJ 100, which is a study of the 100 top family films from 2017. We found that female leads in family films have doubled between 2014 and 2017. So that's like progress. Since these numbers have been stagnant for like ever, it's encouraging to finally see some movement. We're going to have a new study come out next year that's going to benchmark 10 years of family film and television. And as many of you may know, we have a new tool to do our research with called GDIQ. I can't remember what the GD stands for, but the IQ is inclusion quotient, and it's based on, it uses voice recognition and face recognition and artificial intelligence to do the research for us profoundly accurately, much more accurately than you could do with the human eye, and is helping us get a tremendous grasp on the problem of not only gender representation, but race representation as well. Very exciting, we have a brand new tool that we're calling Spell Check for Gender Bias, where now you could take the script before you cast it, before you go into production, before anything, shove it in, immediately get the results out as far as how many female characters are there, how many, if it's identified as such, how many characters of color or diversity are there. It can extract the type of language that's used both by the female character, look for gender ladenness in other characters. You can figure out what adjectives are other characters using to describe the female characters. You can tell whether they have agency, how intelligent they are. In this big study we did of ads, we found that females in ads were profoundly more likely to use one-syllable words. And the male characters use far more intelligent words and longer words. Good stuff. Later this fall, we're going to release a very extensive study on STEM in media. It was funded by the Lyda Hill Foundation, and we analyzed 10 years of characters in film and television who represent STEM fields, and then we also surveyed middle school, high school kids and college girls to determine what's keeping them from going into STEM careers, or on the other hand, what's encouraging them to pursue STEM careers. We're also very excited to announce that we are executive producers on a new documentary called This Changes Everything, about women in the industry and the situation of women on screen and behind the scenes and all that. It's going to make its debut at the Toronto Film Festival in September. It's been 3 years in the making. We can't wait for you to see it because it truly embodies what the problems are in our industry around gender inequity. As we're here at the home of 72 and Sunny, we're very excited that the Cannes Lion is giving us new funds to update our gender bias in advertising study, which will be presented at the Cannes Lion in June of next year. So there's a lot of momentum, lots of things happening. Thank you. I really believe, and I'm sure a lot of you share this feeling that something is happening. I really think we are on the cusp of a big turning point in this industry. And I have felt for 10 years now at least that the lowest hanging fruit in all of this is on-screen portrayals in kids' media, because it's unconscious. They have no idea that they're leaving out that many female characters. And people who make entertainment for kids are doing it because they love kids. And they're appalled and horrified to find out how profoundly they're shortchanging girls and want to make the change. So I feel very confident predicting that this is the first thing that's going to change, that we're going to be able to reach 50-50. It's the one area of gross inequality in our society that can be changed overnight, because the very next thing somebody makes can be gender balanced. We don't have to sneak up on it, we don't have to gradually get there. It can be tomorrow. We fixed it. It's all done. It's tomorrow. And so I feel very confident, that even within 5 years, let's say, we could see kids on-screen representation go to 50-50 and very diverse. I always say one of the quickest ways to achieve gender parity is very simple. Just before you cast it, before you shoot it, just go through it, do a gender pass, and see what characters could become female here. Let's see, how about if we just cross out a few first names and change it to female and we're done. There we go, gender parity. And maybe the characters are even more interesting now that they've had a gender swap, because they won't be stereotyped, right? And then, there's other simple things like when there's a crowd scene, you have to write in the script, a crowd gathers, comma, which is half female. Because I guarantee you otherwise, on the set, the assistant AD is gonna, not be thinking, he's gonna go to the default male, and the president's cabinet and the boardroom and whoever it is are gonna be mostly male. So it's something that if you just write it in the script, it'll happen. When you're building teams, obviously this is very important, but in all aspects of the industry, when you're building teams, have you included women? Have you included very intersectional people in your crews? And data has been so important to our work. It's been the key to everything because, like I said, so much of this is unconscious. So we're thrilled to get the kind of support from various sponsors that allows us to do all this very expensive research. So like I said, one industry where we can make this change happen instantly, and that is the industry that we are privileged to work in. And my new motto is no more missed opportunities. Everybody should think before they put something out, are we missing a chance? Because when I go to the movies, I go every weekend, I see whatever's come out, and there's so many times I go, if only I had talked to them beforehand. They wouldn't have made all the teapots male. They would have said, I would have said, why are they all male? And they would have said, I don't know. And they would have changed it. So that's what we all have to keep, let's put it on our bulletin boards. No more missed opportunities. And with that, thank you again for being here. I'll bring Madeline back.
And speaking of data, I just want to give a shout out to our head of research, Dr. Carolyn Helpman, who is hiding in the back. Yay! We keep her very, very, very busy. So tonight we put a spotlight on comedy, women writing comedy, women performing comedy. But since we are data geeks, I wanted to just level set a little bit. So our friends at Dataface using IMDb looked at 12,300 episodes written by 2,267 unique writers in 2018. 52% of all the episodes were written without a single female writer, while fewer than 1% of the episodes were written without at least one male on staff. Shows attributed 81% of their writing credits to male writers. 23 out of the 100 shows attribute a staggering 95% or more of their writing credits to males. Ratings peaked when neither males nor females exceeded more than 60% of the writing staff. So the bottom line is that gender-balanced writing rooms, gender-balanced staffs behind the camera do more business, get better ratings. So we are so privileged that we have Maria Galarou, Group Strategy Director of 72 and Sunny, who will moderate our all-star panel of esteemed comedy writers and storytellers. So I'm going to turn it over to Maria. Thank you.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for a very honest and we hope empowering conversation about women in comedy. Joining me tonight are 6 amazing ladies who all have the incredible power of making us laugh every day. Thank you, ladies. And they all have very different journeys to comedy, but as I've been speaking to them briefly last week, realized that they all share one important trait, which is that they care about other women really deeply, and that they're all here to talk about that and share their support for the crucial work that's done by Geena and Madeline and the Institute. So please join me on stage, ladies. Please sit wherever you want in order. I will all introduce them briefly because we have a bit of a super panel tonight. But please look at the mini program because you have all their amazing journeys and bios in detail. We're good. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We have here, I'm sorry, I'm going to read my little notes. Carol Leifer, who is kind of an icon of stand-up comedy. Writer for so many of our favorite shows, and most recently, writer and producer on Curb Your Enthusiasm. We have Maggie May, Queen of Austin Open Mics, who recently moved to LA. Maggie's a comedian, yeah, who made her late night debut on Conan and was recently featured in Last Call. We have Eliza Schlesinger. Eliza is one of today's leading female comedians. She not only stands up on stage, but writes books about women as well. Recently released her first book. Yeah, but we start with one. Girl Logic, The Genius and the Absurdity, beautiful title, and just launched her 4th Netflix special, Elder Millennial. Ida Rodriguez. Bold and poignant comedian, made history as the first Latina to appear in 2 specials air in 1 month on both HBO and Showtime. And we are going to talk about what it means to be one of the 4 Latina women in the circuit. Natalie. Natalie is an actress who started in drama, actually, you were telling me, but kind of realized that she wanted to switch to comedy and show her comedic side. Recently in The Detour, now in its 3rd season, for which she also started directing. And you have Deanna Reasonover, kind of the youngest of the crew tonight, a writer and actress for both TV and cinema. Recently, you can see her on NCIS. This is just a one-liner, but all these women have amazing journeys that you can read about in the mini program. So the topic of the hour is women in comedy, and this takes many shapes. We're going to talk about what it is to be a woman in a pretty male-dominated field, sometimes a little sexist as well, and also what's at stake when portraying and writing about female characters and all their beautiful complexities. So we're going to chat for about 45 minutes, and then I'm sure the audience has smarter questions than I have, so we'll have 15 minutes to, ask about those as well. And I think that's it for now, for the intro. Good night. No, I was just going to say, I think we're here to learn really and get inspired by all these women's personal journeys and experiences, and this is all about being truthful and honest and raw, and if we can, funny. I think we're well placed for that. So the first theme of the night is going to be you and comedy and your personal voices. Comedy has been, I think we've just learned, and we know, a male-dominated field for decades. Inequalities are still massive today in the field. And it's also a famously hard world to get into, really. Yet you are all here today, up against the odds. So I'd love to start by asking you, why are you so drawn to comedy? Why is it your calling? And what voice have you built for yourself? And if we can, I'd love to start with Carol, speaking to your comedic start in the 70s.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Maria, everybody. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm definitely the senior member of the crew. I started stand-up in 1977. Yeah, which is pretty incredible when you consider that I'm still only 35.
Change the bios.
41 years in comedy, and actually my birthday was just a couple weeks ago. I turned 62. Thank you. It's really funny. My agent came to my show last week, and he was like, "Why are you telling people in the audience how old you are?" And I'm like, because it gets applause. So, but I'm sure like everybody else here, I had something to say, and I wanted to say it. And the thing that's great about stand-up comedy is the way I started is pretty much the way that everybody else starts. You go to an open mic night, and what's beautiful about stand-up comedy is you're a nobody, and then you pick up the mic on an audition night, and suddenly you're a comic. And that's the only way you learn to do it, by doing it and doing it and doing it. But I always encourage women to pursue comedy, even of the odds, that we're such a minority, because we're half the picture, Women have their own view, their own perspective, and it's helped me tremendously in my comedy writing career, especially at Seinfeld, because, it's doubtful that a guy would have gone into Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld's office and pitched, "Elaine thinks there are skinny mirrors at Barney's." And I know this because none of the guys on the writing staff knew what a skinny mirror was, but every woman here knows what a skinny mirror is. Or even like Elaine thinks that the Korean manicurists are talking about her behind her back in Korean, because that used to happen to me at my nail salon. So I always pursue, tell women to pursue it, because we have stories that men don't have, and experiences to share with women and men, and that makes our stories that much greater. So that's what propelled me and kind of still propels me.
Woo! Ida, do you want to?
So I came to comedy because I decided to do everything that my mother didn't want me to do, right? My mom told me that being funny is for men, it's not for girls. She's like, nobody's gonna want to marry a goofy, tall girl that's telling jokes. So I was like, I'll do that. But for me, it's been a very important thing because it took 20 years for a woman to land on The View that was Latina. For some reason, people don't believe that Latin women have social and political point of views, that we are all Catholic, anti-abortion, and are waiting for Jesus to come get us back. And that is not the case. You know, white people have a spectrum. They have everything from Grey's Anatomy to Honey Boo Boo. Latin people don't have a spectrum. So I have to deliver the spectrum. And it's quite the feat, because when I go do stuff and people know that I'm Latina, they expect me to sound like this. Hola, me llamo Eda Rodriguez, no hablo inglés. That is what they think I'm gonna do. And the truth is, I was born in Boston. I'm more American than most of you here. And I'll tell my story. I'm never afraid to tell it. I've been kidnapped, I've been raped, I've been kidnapped twice. And the only way to deal with that stuff was to write a joke about it and heal one wound at a time. And that's what it's been for me.
I kind of want to pick up on what you said about how they show Latinas in a certain light. A lot of people, a lot of time, like to see people of different races as a monolith. They like to see black females as a monolith. So when you come into an open mic just starting off, oh, I can't even tell you how many dudes came up with a joke that they wrote for me. Like, that's their undercover racism that they want you to go and put in your mouth and say on stage. Like, that was just part of my existence for a long time, was that. But I very much liked represent, because like in Austin, there aren't really a lot of black people. Austin is it's a productive, progressive city, but still kind of actively moving black people out of the city. You know, we're still being moved east. Like, black people are still showing up and waking up and having packages explode on their, on their life. Like, black people, we pretend like we like them in Austin, but there's a history to it. And so that history shows up at open mics. That history shows up at shows where people are like, well, I expect you to do this, and I expect you to be this, and I'm gonna help you back into this box I think you need to be in. And I grew up not living around a lot of other black people. I didn't grow up, I was always one of the only black kids in school. Shoot, in high school, I was the only black kid in sophomore year. They did a racial survey for some reason. And it was just me. So, and already, the kids on the bus, that they didn't know any other black people. I was the only black person they know. My nickname was Oreo still. A bunch of white kids who didn't know black people. So this survey came out, and it was so close to zero that they rounded to zero again for some reason. And this gave kids further ammunition to, further taunt me and whatnot. But that just kind of speaks to, people don't expect, when people use large words and when people are not what you expect, that's another hurdle to them, because it just doesn't compute for them. So I like to, black women, we're out here doing all kinds of stuff, so I love to be that example of hey, don't listen to that jerk, don't listen, that you can do that and be yourself, and you can still, do what you want to do and do comedy on your terms. You don't have to especially in a place where there just isn't a lot of representation.
So, a big part of comedy, I think the most important part of comedy, is authenticity and speaking from what you come from, never apologizing for it. And we were speaking backstage, I was saying how it's interesting to me how everybody has their baggage, for lack of a better term. Everybody has their perspective, their race. I come from a upper middle class background. I am a white Jewish girl from Texas. You can, that's weird. But I always get questions about confidence. That's the big question people have, because especially women, men don't really ask me that, but women always ask about that. And I am privileged in that I was always sort of, to misquote Thoreau, but to be told to go forth, go confidently in that direction. And it never occurred to me that I wasn't smarter, that I wasn't as smart or as funny as the kid trying to get the attention away from me, and that would be a boy. It never occurred to me to back down, and that's gotten me into some arguments that's maybe not attractive at times, I give a fuck. And when I started, the be-all end-all is not me giving you a boner. Well, that's not hot. I'm like, cool, you're not hot. So. When I started in comedy, They have like serious ratios, and I'm like, he's not hot. Anyway, but when I started in comedy, it was a very lonely endeavor, and I had no help from women, but I also didn't know that I needed permission from men or women to do something, probably the only thing that I was ever good at. Couldn't do math, wasn't the gifted athlete I'd hoped I'd be. And I just went forth, and because of the career that I carved out for myself, and because, you know, in your 20s you have that energy to do the work, to hit the open mics, to go to the clubs, and to do a gig 2 hours away. I mean, we've all done it, and then come home and go to your day job the next day. I just kind of blindly sped in that direction. And then at 26, I was a headliner on the road alone, and teaching myself etiquette in clubs or what to expect. And so my experience is different from a lot of other women in that I started this lonely endeavor at such a young age. But I guess for me, what is special about comedy and what it means to me, what it has evolved to in the 10 years I've developed this point of view, is that just because I wasn't helped by women doesn't mean that other women don't need help. I think we have this weird thing in our society of sort of paying back unkindness. You know, like, oh, they didn't help me, so I'll say I'm a feminist, but I don't really mean it. It's like, you gotta give, I mean, as angry as we can be with each other, and that's an honest thing, like that very catty, you know, we're like, well, I had to struggle, so she had to. We can make it a little bit easier while still letting the youngins learn their lessons. And just because, I mean, you talked about going on The View. I was on The View, and they were monsters to me. Monsters. And it's one of those moments in comedy where you're like, we're all supposed to have done this together. Why are you not looking at me? And so in my voice, in what I found a real strength and a real comfort in wanting to be kind to women and give them, permission is definitely not the word, but give them that push to be like, it's okay. Gives a fuck.
They were mean to me on The View as well.
It's awful. Don't go there.
I don't know. For me, I had been working in dramas for a long time and got very tired of always playing the damsel. And I thought there's gotta be more, and it's not here in the genre, at least for me. For something that I'm giving off is telling everybody that I need to be rescued. So I thought, you know, if for many reasons, I wanted to switch over, which proved to be so much harder than I thought it would be. I thought, you know, I'm an actor, I went to school to learn how to act. I didn't go to drama, well, I did go to drama school, but I didn't go to school, dramatic acting school, as opposed to comedic acting school. And it's really hard for people to see you as something else. We all understand that. But I thought at least I would have a better shot if I were doing comedy to maybe be something else than just the object of his affection who needs so badly to be saved. So I gambled, and I feel like my current position is great, and I don't miss it.
Don't miss the drama.
No, I don't miss the drama.
Thank you.
I definitely hear you about not going on The View, but I was also like, if they invite me, I'm going. Don't nobody invite me nowhere. This is the first place I've been invited. But I started doing comedy because I was a classically trained actress that was doing a lot of Shakespeare productions, and I truly just got tired of killing myself on stage. It was so depressing.
Well, at least you had the agency to kill yourself.
Right. Yeah, I did. I used to do Romeo and Juliet, and I wanted to be like, good night, everybody, after Act 3, and just send everybody home. But I saw a scholarship for Second City through Puma Shoes, and I'm not wearing Pumas right now, and they sent me through Second City, and I truly did it just because nobody told me not to. Like, nobody told me to stop doing it. And after I got through that, somebody told me that I should try writing because I wasn't very funny.
Bullshit.
You would? Yeah. Thank you. Hey, thank you. But I started writing because I'm also a people pleaser. And through that, I was like, oh, I am a good writer, but I am also very funny. And most of my time in comedy has me doing things either because no one has told me not to, or because there was no reason to stop. And that's how I treat most of life. Like, there's really no reason to stop doing something that you love, even if it doesn't seem as though you're represented or as though you are the kind of person. I told myself a lot that I maybe wasn't the kind of person who was a writer, and I guess now I'm that kind of person.
On to our second topic, which is kind of the state of today, women in comedy today. A lot has changed in our world for women in the past year since the break of #MeToo. That movement and initiatives like Time's Up, I think we wouldn't really be having the same conversation even a year ago. Some inequalities are being called out, some outrageous behaviors are being called out, and progress is slowly being made. We talk a lot about what's going on in Hollywood, not necessarily always what's going on in specifically comedy. So I'd love to understand how you felt the effect of these movements in comedy. Both, I think, in terms of your working lives and potentially also as your comedic output. I'd love to start with you because I know you have stories.
Well, you know, when I started out, there were so few women in comedy. And I think the funniest thing, is a bit of a sidebar about it, was that at the time, like, they wouldn't let two women follow each other, because it's like, we have to break you up, you know, like the impressionist, the monkey act, the woman, the singer, you know? And it was like, oh, if, you know, Rita Rudner and I followed each other, like, the world would blow up. Like, what is going on, you know? But I think for someone who's been around as long as I have, I've really faced very little sexual harassment. And I think it's also because as comedians, we're sort of like our own cottage industries. Like, if a guy ever said to me, if you don't, you know, have sex with me, I'm not gonna let you work this club, I'd be like, well, then I'm not gonna work this club, you know? I mean, as simple as that. I do think it's interesting, though, in the world of comedy, when all this stuff came out, Me Too, and with Louis C.K., a great comedian, Judy Gold, we all know, wrote a great op-ed in the New York Times, and she talked about how she had a few problems sometimes with the line between hanging out with a comedian in his hotel room and then it getting a little weird, and that has happened to me coming up a few times, the same thing too, of we're used to hanging out together at midnight in hotel rooms because that's where you're staying when you do a comedy club gig. So there were those couple of times where it just became like, oh no, that's not what this is about, we're just hanging out and watching TV or whatever. But I thought that was interesting that we had kind of the same experience that way. But I'm interested, you know, to hear from younger women if there's more sexual harassment than when I started out a long time ago, because there wasn't.
I could say this because I'm in a similar boat where, especially if you are headlining, if you are calling your own shots, like, my opener is not going to say, like, you need to fuck me or else I'm not opening for you. Like, the role reversal there. So I think a big part of it comes from a lack of, by the way, if you're a woman that fucks her opener, like, that's a power move, but that's weird. No one does that. It's not a thing. You don't want to fucking do it, it's not as funny. No. But it's this thing where it had always been a certain way. Men had always had the power. Boys had always gotten to do the fun thing. And as women in the last, 100 years, 50 years, 25 years, as of last year, we're clawing our way into this space. So it's more of, like, sort of an old line way of things that they always were that way. It always was the guy has the sexual power and the girl wants something from him. So the more, I don't believe in just blindly giving girls a chance when it comes to stand-up, because funny is funny. This thing where it's like, I should get a spot on this because I'm a woman. No, like, you gotta, funny is funny. But the more you work at it and the more you don't take an attitude and the more you realize that he is shitting on you because they are jealous of you or because they want to sleep with you, rarely otherwise will they bother to interact with you. The more you realize that that abounds and it is on you to start your own room, to make your own opportunities, the more you take that power back, and the more for the next generation or for ourselves, we start to create this even playing field where then no one even dares to hit on you. And it's not because you're not pretty, it's because they know it's never gonna happen. So I think it is about taking that power back. Sure.
So, I think I agree with a lot of that, but I think that the problem is who says funny is funny. And I think a lot of times the people that say funny is funny are charged with testosterone and have penises. And that's the problem, right? Because you never hear the children say, it was the nun. Men are a problem, right? I don't hate y'all, I just think you need to be reprogrammed. But, speaking from the point of view, Eliza did last comic standing and she won. She was like the first woman to win. And yes. And I believe the only woman since then, right? So I was on last comic standing and I actually had to experience sexism on national television because I like to wear dresses. I'm a single mom, I was homeless, and now I'm like, fuck. She's rubbing off on me. I'm gonna wear what I wanna wear. Even today I was in this dress and I was feeling self-conscious because it's so short. And I was like, my grandmother had just died right before I did last comic standing. And I promised her that when I got on television for the first time, I would look like a girl. Because I had been dressing down and covering myself up so much in comedy because they kept saying, don't try to be cute. And Keenan Ivory Wayans says to me on national television, your dress is a distraction. You need to tone it down. He said, comedy is about funny, and you gotta learn to tone it down. Meanwhile, Keenan Ivory Wayans had on a jacket with no shirt under that was buttoned all the way down here. He had shined his bald head, and
Eddie Murphy wore a red leather suit in Raw.
yes, and purple and Delirious. And so, thank you. So I had to, I had to endure that. And I'm not making excuses. My grandmother died, my uncle was killed in a hate crime, and 2 months later I was on Last Comic Standing for them. And when I got on that stage, I had to swallow all of that and still charge forward with a set. And a lot of the people who were hating on me were women. And it was because we have so much internalized hate. We have been indoctrinated, we've been socialized to hate each other, and divide and conquer really works with us, that when I got off that stage, my daughter's here, and my son and my friend April were the ones who helped me up, because the other women were like, why does she wear that? This is about comedy. And it was like, it's about my comedy. This is my story, and so, what I will say about the Me Too movement was I remember calling one of my friends and I was like, the white girls are telling. Yes, they're telling. And the reason why I say that, I have to extend gratitude to the white women who use their privilege to tell, because if I do that, I may never work again and I have mouths to feed. So even though people were like, Meryl Streep and whatever, thank you. Thank you for those white women who led the charge, because you did not see an abundance of black women and women of color telling. Salma Hayek had to wait before she told her story because they would not have believed her. And look, it took how many white women to bring Bill Cosby down? It took a damn village brought Bill Cosby down. One wasn't enough. So when I say, this Me Too movement, and when I say, time's up, it's about damn time. So yeah, I'm glad it happened, and I hope it off with their heads. Off with their heads.
I just want to say, with the Me Too movement and the Time's Out movement, you just see a bunch of dudes shook and scared. And they're like, oh, well, is me hitting on people going to be considered, oh, now I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that, and good. I'm glad you're scared. I'm glad you're second guessing. Because what this movement has done is let them know, we're watching you. And we're talking behind your back. And we all know what's going on, and now you know that we know what's going on. Because and it pokes holes in their little boys club, because guys feel so comfortable starting comedy. Like, I've arrived. I'm here. And women don't so much, exactly. Men are entitled as AF. But
Am I the only one cursing?
no, solidarity. They're entitled as fuck. But like, this is just one little thing that's letting women know, like, you might not feel like you're welcome here, but all of those things that you heard, we're keeping an eye on. Yeah. So if anything happens, and we were real good about this in Austin, we were like, this is Texas, we will take any of them down, please. Austin, Texas is not the industry, fuck, I look like, I'll take any one of them down. Like, but we got together, and it was just like, we're gonna make ourselves feel welcome. And I just feel like this movement is just really helping people to feel welcome.
Can I pick, oh yes, let's clap for that, awesome. But also I want to piggyback off of something Carol said earlier, which is about feeling like, being told earlier, not allowing two women to follow each other by some of those comedy promoters. And I still feel that sometimes when I go in for auditions, where it's like, oh, I'm sorry, we already have a black. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Try next year. You know what I mean? Where if there's one person of color, they don't want any other kind of minority. They're like, okay, we have one gay, we have one, you know what I mean? And it's really, really frustrating. I don't want to have to wait another, 20 years for Latina women, for Asian men, for people with disabilities to have their Me Too moment. So this is about us all coming together and really starting to make some intersectional shit. You know what I mean?
The other thing that's making me think of too is, I think it's great with Me Too and holding men accountable and all that, but I think on the other hand, women also have to start advocating for women. I mean, I think something really interesting, yes, that I notice a lot is I go out and I pitch shows to the networks, and really most of the people that I pitch to are women. I mean, it's usually 3 women and a guy. I mean, it's very female dominated. And I never feel like they're sitting there thinking, like I always want them to be thinking, oh, if you're on the fence about this, I mean, come on, I'm a woman. Don't you want to hear other women tell other stories? There's like no all girls club, like how men have it. And I feel like we really need to cultivate that, to take the next step and move forward to bigger things.
I totally agree in theory, because I think and I'm gonna put myself out there and say that you may not like me for this, I like the idea of women standing by women. I do think there is a lot of deprogramming, and in some cases programming that our generation may not even be capable of because of the inundation of brainwashing that has happened. We all look at women when they dress a certain way, when they say a certain thing, when they look a certain way, and have those initial thoughts. And that's ignorant, and it's also learned, and the growth comes from saying, you know what? She's not a slut, she's doing exactly what I'm trying to do, and that's get someone hot to look at me. And we vilify women when they deign to excel at something that we are not as good at, or that we maybe can't do, and then we call them names. So I agree, this is not against you, I agree with you, but I think it really is about practicing what you preach and going out of your way to be like, I'm gonna give that girl a chance. I'm not gonna write her off immediately. I'm not gonna think, oh, well, she looks like that, so of course, she's wearing a cute dress. If the material's funny, So and I just think, we all like to talk about feminism, and we all say rosé all day, and we have feminists with to-do lists, and we buy the shirts, and we do the things, and then we're the first ones to be like, she's a whore. So I'm just trying to be as real with it as possible, because preconceived notions are real, and that psychology is so real, and it is normal to compete with each other, and we have been so pit against each other, and the growth, I really think, comes from realizing, she and I were talking about this backstage, in a conversation, an interview, someone will say, what do you think of this other comic? Don't give them a reason to, even if you hate her, don't say it. Because that's what the song about behind her back. No, but don't say it, because then it's like, see, a house divided. See, they can't be together. Don't give them a reason. Let's fool them into do it, and then you can hate each other. But it really, I like the kumbaya thing, but I think it really is about putting her money where her mouth is, as Geena has done with her institution. That's just...
I'd love to keep talking about this and go a little deeper because it was one of the topics, and I was reading, for example, recently Chelsea Chandler, what she said in an interview, and she was saying, if I'm going to say anything negative about the female sex, it would be about the females that don't support each other. So that seems to be something that you've all been talking about, and when I was talking to you on the phone as well. What can we do? You started outlining some things.
I have a whole plan. I have a 10-year plan.
What is our 10-year program, and what can we actively do to help women learn how to support each other?
Me? I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the solution is. I will say that I've, in all the years that I've been working as an actor, I've worked with I've been very fortunate. I haven't worked with a lot of people who misbehave, but there have been a few, and I can say without question, because I've thought a lot about this, not one of them was a woman. I have worked with women who have asked for what they needed. I have worked with women who get their time wasted and speak up about it. I've worked with women who don't like the way they're being written and they talk about it, but I've never worked with a woman who has been nasty towards me or has been hateful or has tried to sabotage me. I can't say the same about some of the men that I've worked with. And I think that there are a few reasons for that. One of which is, sadly, I don't get to work with a lot of women because that's just the way it's set up. If you're the perpetual love interest, there's only room for one of you. And I long to work for women, or with women, and I haven't. I hope as I get older that may happen. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is though.
So I love her. So I'm like, ooh, she's so pretty. I think that one of the things, I'm a mom. So one thing that I practice in my home, my daughter's here. My daughter just graduated from UC Davis. Yes, she had the highest GPA in her college. And yeah, she kicked everybody's ass. And one thing that I practiced at home with my daughter was I wanted her to draw her self-esteem for something that was real. So we like to tell girls, you're beautiful, you're so pretty. I've always told my daughter that she's highly intelligent and building an esteem in her that she would learn to love herself, and then that would infect her in a way that she could love other women. Because I think that a lot of us have to do the work. A lot of women have experienced so much. Even with her privilege, your privilege, you've still experienced so much just on the sheer fact that you're a woman. You know, like I sit on the Young Turks and I hear people condemn Hillary Clinton daily for doing exactly what her male counterparts did, but because she's a woman. And some of her politics is problematic, but I do believe that a lot of it is because she's merely a woman. And I think that women do that to each other. I believe in education. I did a call to action with the other 3 Latin women who are headliners, and I said, let's go out into the communities, let's go out into inner cities, and let's teach young Latin girls about stand-up, because I've had a very traumatic past, and stand-up has been healing for me, and maybe we can go out and save some girls from gangs through stand-up. Maybe everybody's not going to be a scientist, everybody's not going to be a doctor, but stand-up comedians make a pretty good living, and it was almost impossible to get 4 women to say, let's go do it. And it's because of the work. I'm never gonna hate on those women, because I don't know what their journeys are, but I know that they really, you guys were up against them, and now we're up against each other. So you guys had this camaraderie that I admire and I envy, because they make us feel like like she gets a special, the rest of you are never gonna get a special. And it's become so common that everybody is walking around in fear that if they even celebrate somebody else, that in some way is gonna hold their journey back. And we have to start breaking those walls down. It belongs with the young ones, but we have to start with ourselves. I think that's really important.
I always say that sometimes being in comedy feels like, like an episode of like The Highlander, like there can only be one, exactly. like what you were saying. But the truth of the matter is, once you start getting in those rooms, you can't be in every room. I don't care how talented you are, you can only be in one room at a time. You can only be shooting one series at a time. So when people come to you and start asking you for recommendations, and they will, recommend women. Recommend intersectional people. Recommend, people that don't look like the people that are in the rooms that you're in. That's what's really important to me, and that's what I try to do. I keep a list on my computer, I'm not kidding, where I have a list of here's some diverse candidates, here's some female candidates, here's some of this, some young people, some maybe older people who haven't had a chance, because it's important that they know that you are looking out for them, and they will in turn look out for you.
I think what you're also talking about is making the real estate less precious. Like, there's no reason there can't be X amount of women. It shouldn't even be, we have a mandate where we have to have 50% women. It should just be like, who's best, and we all get a crack at it. Now that's the utopian idea, that we all get a chance to get in that room or to submit a tape.
Step 10 of the program.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea that the real estate isn't so precious, that we don't have to be at each other's throats, because there can be more, there's several shows where the lead is Latina or African American or white women following each other, or just at our club it's white women, but women following each other. Sorry, it's a comedy show. Because there is that thing where it's like, for a decade, I never went up before or after a girl because we had to break it up, but it should be, oh my God, there's so many funny girls, you're just funny because you're funny, it's not funny for a woman. That's the ceiling I want to crack open. Like, you're just funny. You just get them and it's undeniable. And I think as women, we have to be undeniable. One snap, I'll take it.
I think the other thing, too, that's important to remember is that, men are not the enemy, and men can really be allies in certain things. Like, in the stand-up world, I could set my watch by it. I would watch the crowd go in, and if it was 3 or more young guys who were sitting at a table, I'd be like, those are the guys that are gonna heckle me. And sure enough, it'd always be like, those guys, the loudmouths, heckling me, and I couldn't get a handle on it. And I was like, I don't get what's happening. And I asked a male comedian, I was like, I have trouble all the time, young guys, and he was, he watched my set, and he said, you gotta go for the jugular. And I'm like, well, what's the jugular for a guy? And he was like, you gotta, and he taught me to say, when they would heckle me, just to say to the guys, so, where are the dates? where are the women? And then it would be like, and I'd say, I park in the car, and then like the red face, and then it was like, oh, that's the Achilles heel.
Jugular.
Yeah, they're here by themselves, and then it would stop. And I didn't know that unless, you go into the brain of a man who can transmit that to you. So I think it's always good, too, to be using men to also crack the code of stuff we don't really get. Yeah.
100%. I'm hanging on every word. When Louis C.K. got Me Too'd, I was interviewed. That's the term now, right? You got Me Too'd. And I was interviewed. I was in New York. I was working at the Comedy Cellar. Someone asked me if I would do an interview, and I said, I asked about 15 men who are powerful men in Hollywood, did they think that Louis C.K. would come back? And 14 of them said yes. They said he's going to come back, he's going to do a special about this, and boom. So when they asked me what did I think about that, I said, well, Louis C.K. can reach people I can't reach. If there's an atonement, and he can use his voice to turn the people who idolize him, and he can make an impact, and he can save someone from being harassed, then let it be. Because I cannot keep Louis C.K. from coming back. And everyone who attacked me, 5 articles, goddamn Jezebel, 5 articles were written demonizing me for saying that. A woman of color who has to fight, like I am an oddity in a comedy club. At the Comedy Cellar, there are 2 Latin women who work there. I don't have power, I can't punch down. The only thing below me is disabled people. You know what I mean? So when I tell you, they wrote these articles, these think pieces, when it was women. And I'll tell you, no woman ever took me on the road to open for them. It was Russell Peters who took me on the road. It was, you know what I mean? The door was opened for me by a man, and I cannot say that that's my enemy. You know, it's not.
Just good humans and bad humans.
I will say too, like, I don't see men as the enemy, not on record, I will say though, a lot of the things, I was thinking about it, and a lot of the doors that have opened for me were opened by women.